What is going on, all of you PC gamers out there in the world? I am Mega Am, so thank you for watching this YouTube video. Whether you are a new or returning viewer, I appreciate you stopping by. And I was listening to a podcast the other day. Shout out to the MinMax Show. They talked a little bit about the idea of Steam as a company, actually Valve as a company, and Steam, their platform, of course. And like if there's anything that could kind of take them under at this point, or like where they could go. And I kind of made me realize that I haven't really talked much about Steam or my PC gaming experience here on this channel, so I figured I'd make a hopefully not too long of a video talking about my experience with Steam over the years, kind of what I think of it, the company itself, and where I think it's heading into the future. If you take a look at my Steam library, I'll pull up my games list here. It'll be a no-brainer that I really like Steam. Oh, we're under soundtracks. Don't look at that. 157 games. Yeah, that's a lot. Granted, that's over the span of when did I first get Steam? I think usually it tells you. I think for me, it's been at least since 2014. I think it was around that time that I first got Steam, which was like early high school for me. Not to date myself, but there we go. Yeah, I've been using Steam for a while. But it wasn't always like consistent. There was like when I first got it in high school, I remember like the first games I played were Half-Life 2, Portal 2, and Garry's Mod. Right, those were like the first Steam games. I know, not really anything super unique or interesting. I feel like there's a lot of people's typical go-to Steam games as well. Shout out to the terrifying Half-Life 2 soundtrack I'm listening to now. And I was on the PC grind for a while. I mean, back then I had like a pretty like not so great gaming laptop, but I was still able to run some of those games and play some of them on there. Battlefront 2, the classic one, I played on there a lot. Speedrunners, the indie game, if any of you are familiar with that. And yeah, a lot of other games that I like to play back in the day. That's back when I had my Five Nights at Freddy's phase, back when those games were first coming out, which I think was actually 2014 for the first game, I want to say. But yeah, definitely a lot of early PC gaming memories into college as well. But then I think post-college, my time with Steam definitely dipped, but recently I've come back because of the Steam Deck, which I absolutely love this thing. As someone who has played a lot of handhelds, especially the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS growing up, I love having my games in handheld form, in portable form, and if I want to, I can hook it up to a dock. It also saves me a little bandwidth for streaming, so I can stream games through the Steam Deck, which I know this is going to date this video, but I will be doing very soon for Beyond Good and Evil through Steam and Death's Door through Steam, which will be really, really nice. But yeah, that's just kind of like my overall Steam journey. And of course, you can see I have over 150 games. Like, I have a lot of games in this list here, a lot of which I've played, a lot of which I have not played. That's the problem with one of the problems with Steam for me. It's really a good problem to have, is the fact that Steam sales are crazy. Like, Valve knows what they're doing when it comes to sales. I mean, I know a lot of it comes down to developers as well, but I feel like Steam has some impact on it. I don't know the optics for sure. I don't work for Valve. I don't know any of those systems in place there, but there are so many sales on Steam that are crazy. It's like more so than the console digital storefronts, I feel like, although I feel like some of those are catching up, but not to the same degree as Steam. Steam's always been like the king of gaming sales, so you can pick up a lot of games for pretty cheap money, especially if you catch like the holiday sales, the fall sales, the spring, summer sales. The seasonal sales are usually some of the best ones you can find. I think there's an autumn sale going on right now still, maybe. I don't know for sure. But yeah, the sales, as a result, have destroyed my backlog in terms of games to play. But a lot of these I have played looking at this list now, but there's plenty I have not played, and I've still bought games on Steam. Definitely, I've played fewer and fewer games on Steam just because I've been very recently, as of this upload, getting more into physical media, and of course with PC gaming, nowadays you lose out on that. Back in the day, you could even like maybe like a decade or 2 decades ago, you would either have a physical disk drive built in, or you could have an external disk drive, which I did use for a little while. But I mean, I'm sure you can still do it with PCs, but like I don't know if like new people are making like CD-ROMs for PCs. Let me know in the comments below if you can think of an example that isn't like a retro throwback kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely one of those things that's like, it's kind of a double-edged sword for me. Like, if you don't care about physical games, you're not really going to care that these games are digital. You're just happy to have them in one spot. And I think that's one of the main benefits of Steam, right? Steam, and we'll get into the Epic Game Store comparison in a bit, but Steam is just, it has I mean, this goes for PC overall too. one of the greatest things about PC, you talk about the PC master race, right? You hear that a lot, which, you know, obviously you choose a platform you like. I'm always going to prefer consoles personally, but I can't deny that PC has the greatest, most expansive gaming library of all time, and nothing will ever top it, right? We always talk about these issues with backwards compatibility when it comes to consoles. You know, it was a big discussion leading up to the Switch 2 and like Series X trying to piecemeal do backwards compatibility. Same thing with PlayStation through their subscription service. And so with PC, I mean, sure, you might run into some issues with certain games that may not run well on modern PCs. But here's the thing: is you can buy Atari games up through like the most recent modern games. Not to mention emulators, which I'm not even going to discuss. I have a separate video from a while ago on the channel talking about that. The fact that you have all of these games at your disposal, like Steam is such a common platform for games to release on PC, but specifically Steam. I know Epic Game Store has done some exclusive deals in the past, which is really annoying, especially like Final Fantasy VII Remake when that first came to PC. That was EGS exclusive for like maybe a year, but it seems like, I don't know, I haven't been paying attention much, as much. Let me know if there's been any more recent EGS exclusive, timed exclusive games, because those are always annoying. But it's just, it's great to see that this platform can sustain so many different types of games from so many different generations. It's honestly really, really cool to see these games out there. And like, you could argue for consoles too, but usually, you know, developers will have to remake a lot of old games and re-release them on consoles, where PC, I feel like it's, from my game development experience, my limited game development experience in college, PC is generally a little more optimization friendly. But then again, you see certain companies who are not used to optimizing for PC not put out great ports on PC. You know what I mean? Like the whole Monster Hunter Wild situation and all of that. But then you have some that do, like the Sony ports apparently have been quite good on PC. You know, they have good studios to be able to handle that sort of things. And Nintendo will never release their games on PC, but you know what? I don't think they never will. But yeah, it's one of those things that's honestly just great to have that immediate access to. And the Steam Deck to me makes it better. Now, the Steam Deck, obviously not everything is compatible, but I love this thing. I love that it automatically applies like optimal settings and control schemes and everything. It makes certain games that weren't playable on PC for me playable on the portable nature. And like, you know, it's really nice to have that setup. Steam is probably the pinnacle of convenience, I think. You know, digital only, all of your games from over the years in one library. You know, certain publishers can delist their games, but you don't have to worry about carrying over your games from one generation to the next because it's on PC. It's just PC. You know, that's what it is. Now, of course, if you upgrade your PC, you might run into some compatibility issues with certain titles. Like that could potentially happen, but you know, it's not like a new console generation that's going to run the risk of a lot of games potentially becoming unplayable on the new system. You know what I mean? So I totally understand the PC master race mentality from some people. Now, consoles, like I said, I'm always going to prefer, but it's definitely, you know, it's good to have options, and PC is a really good option. I don't love the idea. Another reason why I love the Steam Deck is it gets rid of the idea of like, oh, you need like certain specs to run games. You know what I mean? Like that can be a bit finicky with new releases. So like if I have a PC, I've had this PC for almost 5 years now currently that I'm recording on, and you know, it probably can't run the most modern game super duper well. The most recent modern game I ran, I think, was Doom Eternal when that game released in 2020. I think I played in 2021 because I got the PC then, but still, like that was probably the newest game I've played on the PC directly. But Steam Deck does a decent job of playing new games, of course at lower fidelities, but it's also a smaller screen, so you notice it at least a little bit less. Still noticeable, but depends on how much you know, enjoy the portable format. I personally do a lot, so I don't mind that downgrade in fidelity there, but it's just, PC is just such a nice platform. And Steam as a company is very interesting to kind of tie it more back to just talking about Valve and Steam, because it's so funny to me because I feel like Valve doesn't make a lot of games anymore. I don't know if anybody else has noticed this. I mean, I'm sure Half-Life fans have. But then again, they put out Half-Life Alyx for the VR, and I bought that through Steam because I can hook up my Quest 3 to PC, and I want to play that game at some point in the near future. And so I still hold the ground that Half-Life 3 has a better shot of happening than ever before. But that's besides the point. They don't really make a lot of games anymore, you know? It's been a while since we've had Portal. It's been a while since we've had Half-Life. Team Fortress, there's the joke, of course, that all their series end on 2 and never reach 3, you know? And it's just, I feel like they're focusing less on that. We had that Deadlock shooter game that I think is separate from Counter-Strike. There's also Counter-Strike 2, but those were like the most recent games that they've put out. As far as I'm aware, I mean, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about that, but I haven't seen anything else in terms of game output from them. It really seems like they're focused on maintaining Steam as a platform and occasionally throwing out new hardware. You know, we had the Steam Deck OLED following the original release. There are reports of them working on Steam Deck 2. There's reports of a new VR system coming from them. I don't know if those are true or not. And they occasionally come out with controllers, I feel like, fairly consistently. Not to the level of like Xbox, because Xbox goes crazy with controllers, but like, you know, every so often they'll put out a new controller, new hardware. So they're honestly, I feel like at this point, becoming like just a platform maintainer. Like Steam is their platform, and they occasionally make hardware on the side. Like I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of stop with games altogether. You know, at this point, it's very interesting the state they're in. But here's the thing: is they don't need to make games. Like, listen, I would love to see Half-Life 3. That would be, I would love to be alive for that moment. That would be a cultural moment. I mean, maybe not as big as it would have been like a decade ago, but still, you know, it's one of those things that would be awesome to see. Or Portal 3 even, I think, would be probably even more exciting for a lot of people. You know, Left 4 Dead 3, Team Fortress 3, I don't know, whatever you want to do. It would be really cool to see that, but it's tough because they don't need to. That's the thing, is that Steam is the dominant PC platform. Like, you hear about, you know, like Activision's BattleNet or Ubisoft, whatever that's called, or EA Origin. I don't even know if that exists anymore. Like, these publishers at least used to. Some of them still do, I think, have their own PC platforms that no one likes to play on. Like, given the option, they are going to choose Steam. You do have Microsoft Windows Gaming, which, let me know if you use that in the comments below. I don't know if that, I highly doubt that competes with Steam still. Even Epic Game Store doesn't compete with Steam. We'll get into that in a second here. It's just, they are in an interesting spot where I feel like they are one of the most stable gaming companies, because they are just like, they have this huge platform that has been established for decades now that will almost never go away. Like, the only thing that could take down Steam would be Valve itself. Like, there's not going to be a competitor here at this point, unless, I don't know, Steam, like Microsoft doesn't allow Steam on Windows anymore. But in fact, it seems like the rumor's the opposite, where Xbox wants to get Steam on their consoles or on Game Pass, you know? So like, they seem like they want to work with Valve. Like, Valve is a juggernaut that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about super often. They're kind of in their own space almost, and so it's interesting. Probably because they don't really make as many of their own games anymore, and they're really mainly just like the platform for Steam and occasional hardware. But it's just interesting to me that they've just cemented themselves in this position, because let's take a look at Epic Game Store now. You know, you go onto Steam, and immediately you're greeted with discounts, discounted games, new releases like Battlefield 6 coming out, and then yeah, you get the Jackbox Games franchise sale. Actually, I might need to look into that. That's a good sale. All these different sales, categories, top played on Steam Deck, because they know I have Steam Deck, which is great. Vampire Survivor, shout out, love that game. Steam Deck ad again, recommended based on specific games and just in general the games I do play. Discovery queue, community recommendations, developers and publishers, you know. There's a lot going on here, and like, they have had, you know, years and years to, you know, perfect this. And of course, you have like your friends interaction. Remote play is decent. They have some good options there, and the whole community aspect. Downside to Steam, I feel like I've heard their forums are quite toxic, so you know, I never go in those, so I can't say from any personal experiences myself, but I don't trust them. Then you go on Epic Game Store, and I'll give them one thing: their UI I feel like is maybe a little more clean than Steam, but Steam is so established at this point, like, I feel like you almost don't need to change it at this point. But you get this weird, like, rotating menu here that, of course, Fortnite's at the top, because it's, oh, Scooby-Doo, interesting. It's really, like, Epic Game Store is their platform for Fortnite. And then you get into discover something new. And it's like, maybe, but I also feel like you want to show me the similar stuff I like first. Maybe that's just because I haven't done Epic Game Store much. But, of course, Fortnite, okay, and here's some featured discounts. Okay, 2 Escape Academies. Why is the season pass in this list? This should not be here, and it should be a different game. The deals of the week, I mean, I guess that's not bad. Escape Academy repeated again. Free games, here you go. I feel like I've heard of Gravity Circuit. So here's the thing. Oh, Music of the Bunker's gonna be free. Okay. Here's the thing. The one thing that, yeah, why are top new releases at the near the bottom of the page? Like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Shout out to Rematch as well. But it's like one of those things that's like the one thing that the only reason I have Epic Games Store installed is because for a while I was keeping up on their free games that they release seemingly weekly, which is crazy to me that they are releasing games for free. We sometimes high-profile games. I got Shenmue 3 for free through this. I might have gotten Sifu for free through this. I got a Deus Ex game for free through this. I got Marvel's Midnight Suns for free. It's usually games that are a little older or aren't as successful, or it's even sometimes indie games, or free content for like free-to-play games, for example, like a free trial. But even with that, it's still crazy that Valve is dominant on top with Steam. It's such an established platform that you honestly, at this point, you cannot compete with. Like, it would have to be something crazy different and popular to compete with Steam. Which is why I think Valve is super comfortable where they are, right? They really don't need to do anything different here. I mean, of course, there are things that they can improve upon with Steam. You know, Steam has its issues, don't get me wrong. And let me know in the comments below what your specific issues are, because I really just focus it for the games and not the community or forums or any of that. But they are at a point where they can just like maintain the platform and, you know, occasionally do new things, maybe a random game every 10 years, you know, every few years, maybe have a new piece of hardware. But otherwise, you have people using Steam on PC. There's tons of PC players already, and you have such an established community. And people are going to buy your games through your platform if they're playing on PC, which a lot of people do because they get really good PCs and optimized for that, and Steam is great with that. There's no reason for them to do much else. You know, it's really interesting to see how I feel like I never hear about them getting acknowledged super often, and it's funny that they're always in the background. They're always there. This song is very it's very what's the right word, foreboding. It's like, yeah, it's, I don't know, it's I respect Valve for the position they have got themselves in, and for maintaining this platform and keeping it consistently the most used PC platform of all time. And I think I don't see how anything could compete with it at this point. You know, and I like their hardware, and, you know, I occasionally like their games, especially Half-Life and Portal. You know, when they do come out with them, I know it's been forever, and I will not expect anything to come out from that. But, you know, Steam is a platform. It's like they're set, they're good, and occasionally new hardware is fun, and we'll see what goes from there. But I don't know. I wanted to talk about Steam for a bit. Valve is in a very interesting spot. Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments below and your experience with Steam, with just Valve, your thoughts on Valve as a company, your experience with any of their hardware or games, any of that in the comments below, because I feel like I haven't talked enough about how much of an impact Steam has had on my gaming experience. Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, I will catch you all in the next video or live stream. And until then, enjoy your PC gaming. I'll see you later.